What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Flop. Today, we're going to be talking about practice methods and tools that can help you get better at your game. We just came off of our 21-day challenge. It's now over, and we are going to select a winner on the show. But before we do that, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Triple Crown. Guys, go check out Triple Crown on Facebook. We always link them down below in the description. Right now, they are having an Everything Must Go sale. They have a lot of awesome custom Triple Crown bags going for $60 shipped. You're probably not going to find sweet custom bags like this for such a great price. So definitely go check them out on Facebook. Brian Shaw just posted it a couple days ago, so I'm sure that a lot of those bags are still there. With that being said, Dad, what's going on? How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Doing great.
Yeah, I know. So we are going to be talking about some practice methods and some stuff that we picked up from some of the viewers about our 21-day challenge and how we have and how things have been going for them. But we're also going to touch base on some actual some things that have been going on in the cornhole world. One of which is that last weekend at ACL Worlds, our girl Kaitlyns Ham, who, as you guys know, we're huge fans of hers on the show, and they're big supporters of us. The Ham family is. She just won Queen of Cornhole last weekend.
Congratulations,
at
Caitlin.
Worlds. Yeah, absolutely. She is the youngest to do it, and she just had absolutely no regard for human life. She left a wake of bodies in her trail, and she just was absolutely a beast on the boards, and I don't know that any human in that building could have beat her that weekend. She was absolutely out of her freaking mind. And so we had actually recorded an episode last week where we had congratulated her on this win and had wished her the best of luck at ACL Worlds this weekend. And as luck would have it, we had technical difficulties and had to scrap the entire episode. It was just unusable.
Tragic.
And so it does suck, but it also ended up being interesting because our girl Kaitlyns Ham had a little bit of controversy at ACL Worlds. So do you want to tell them about that, Zach, and what happened?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we tried to record this episode. We wanted to wish her the best of luck, but I think we're going to take responsibility for what happened at Worlds because we didn't get to say best of luck. We didn't put it out into the internet world. So unfortunately, she did not have the best of luck at ACL Worlds.
It would have gone totally differently if we'd have been able to say it.
I think for sure. I think we know that for certain. Yeah. But she gosh, unfortunately, she had a little bit of a controversial moment when she was playing Sam Finley, and I believe it was the bracket final, if I'm not mistaken. I think this was the bracket final match. And because I watched both games, and I watched the first game.
I think it went to the championship game.
Yeah, it did. It did, and so I watched both of those games, and I believe it was 20-18, and
well,
I think it was
first 20. Kaitlyns had 16, Sam had 10. Was when the controversial moment happened. Remember? And then
oh my gosh,
Kaitlyns
and then it ended up being the 2 points that made the difference at the end.
Yeah, right.
That's right. So yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so Kaitlyns had 16, Sam had 10, and then Kaitlyns scored 2. And then when Sam was inputting the scores, she somehow made an error, ended up giving herself 2 points, but then seeing that she had done that and went back and gave Kaitlyns 2, but it never took the 2 points away from Sam. So instead of the score being 18-10 at that point, it was 18-12. And then Sam ended up going on to win by a margin of 2, I believe. So look, I'm a huge Sam Finley fan. I think,
me too.
I think most people are. She's just a good as gold person. And I do not believe for an instant that this was done on purpose. I do not believe it. You will not convince me otherwise. Sam is just a stand-up person, and I do not believe that she did this on purpose. But two things can be true at one time. And that is that Sam could have totally done this on accident. And two, it could have totally cost Kaitlyn this game.
Yeah.
And Kaitlyn, again, has just been on an absolute tear. And it just sucks that in a potential moment where she, I mean, had just gotten Queen of Cornhole and ACL Worlds, comes into this event and could potentially go to the finals. And the way she was throwing, I refuse to believe for a second that she couldn't have won it. I mean,
No doubt. She can
I feel like she
absolutely
could
beat
have
anybody.
yeah, she could have beat anybody on that day. And it just sucks that the opportunity for her to play in a final at ACL Worlds was taken from her. And again, I don't think Sam did it on purpose, but even that being said, the announcers caught the error. The announcers stated, "Oh, Sam gave herself two, and I think that was an accident. It's not supposed to be there." And not one person said anything. And
It's
it's
wild.
like, I'm sorry. Again, I mean, two things can be right at the same time. Sam didn't do it on purpose, but come on, people. This is a professional cornhole event. This is the equivalent of, the Super Bowl. This is the equivalent of the NBA Finals. This is ACL Worlds, the biggest organization for cornhole on the planet, having their world championships being held. People saw the error and no one said anything about it. You just
That's
let it
crazy.
ride. And then as the game continues to go and you see Sam starting to make progress, maybe at that point you realize, well, we'll just let it. Maybe they thought in their head, well, it was 2 points. Kaitlyn's got a commanding lead. It's 18. She only has to get 3. We'll just let her go ahead and win, and then this will all disappear and this will all go away. Well, then at the end of the game, you see that Sam wins by 2. It's like,
It's your worst nightmare. I mean, you're like, please don't let this, you see the mistake happen and then you're like, please don't let this end up being the deciding factor. And then it happens all the time. You see it in like a football game or something. You're like, oh, they went for 2 and missed it. And like now they're going to lose by 2. And it's like, and it happened. It unfolded right in front of our eyes. It was like she lost by 2.
I know. And it breaks my heart for Kaitlyn. Absolutely. Because I mean, I think the thing is that it broke a lot of people's heart for Kaitlyn. And I think it broke, we know her personally. Like personally, we have a relationship with Kaitlyn. So, definitely we feel it a little deeper than some would. But the outpouring of concern and the outpouring of thoughts for Kaitlyn after this event, I found to be very heartwarming.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people who don't know Kaitlyn personally. They were just pulling for her because she's the underdog, right? Sam Finley's been there. She's done that. She's got multiple t-shirts. So for Kaitlyn, though, they're like, who is this girl?
Throwing smoke.
Crap, she came out of nowhere. It's like she came out of nowhere, and I think she got a lot of fans through this. And I reposted our interview that we had with Kaitlyn. We had a few months back, just to kind of familiarize people, because now there are so many people who are seeing Kaitlyn Ham's name for the first time who don't know this girl. So please, if you saw this unfold, if you're curious about Kaitlyn and who she is, go check this video out, because it was a really good interview. And I think it said a lot about who she is as a person and who she is as a cornhole player. And she is definitely a person that deserves to have a following, definitely a person who deserves the hype, because Kaitlyn is the truth. She's the real deal. And so people need to go out there and support her. And now you've seen her. You've gotten to see it firsthand what she can do. So I hope that Kaitlyn gets the following she deserves from this. And again, no disrespect towards Sam, because I don't believe she did it on purpose. However, one thing that comes into my head is like, Sam, you're like literally at every ACL event that happens like on the planet. Like you're always there. You would think it would be automatic to be able to figure the scoring system out. And again, I know she didn't do it on purpose, but it's just like, man, that's like fundamental to what you guys do. So I think we need to have, there needs to be a fail safe in effect. If it needs to be a professional person on court whose whole job it is to maybe enter the scores,
I just wish that was what it was.
I mean, and it
Yeah.
should be.
At the
I
highest
mean,
level, there's no reason in the world that people that are, gnashing teeth, fighting for points back and forth, super focused on what they're doing, like there's no reason they should have to worry about this score
mm-mm,
system and like going back and changing previous rounds and stuff. Like that is
mm-mm.
like that's not what they should be worrying about. They should be worrying about trying to win the game. And like,
That's
so I
exactly right.
definitely think they need referees, and I definitely think they need someone running the score, especially just at
Yes.
least do it in the bracket final. Just do it in the
Thank
bracket
you.
final.
I was just about to say that. I don't expect there to be a professional on every single court. When you've got thousands of people showing up to play cornhole, it's irresponsible and it would be unfeasible
Yeah.
for the ACL to have to dip into their very, very, very deep pockets after the tier system that they just implemented to pay people to do this. But at least at the finals, at least the bracket finals, of each of the brackets, and then obviously any events televised for the actual finals of the event.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that it's going to cost you an arm and a leg to have 4 or 5 individuals available to play, to be in these bracket finals. My God, you could get somebody from the crowd to do it. You could get another player who's good at the scoring system to just step in. They're sitting there
Yep.
watching the game anyway. They always show the stands, and you always see all these famous players back there. Just grab one of them and be like, hey, well, you do the score for this game.
Seriously.
I mean, heck, if I was sitting there in the crowds and somebody said, hey, will you score this game? Yeah, I'll go sit next to the scoreboard and watch this awesome game,
Yeah,
and take
exactly.
care of the score. Absolutely, I'll do it. It's like, so I don't want to hear that this is just not something that the ACL can afford to do. But what the ACL can't afford to do is to let things like this happen. You know,
Yeah. There was a lot of controversy over this weekend. It wasn't just that. There was
no.
stuff going on with bag like specs and regulations stuff, like with Mark Richards and Philip Lopez Jr. and then Devin
Yeah.
Harbaugh and his partner. I guess
Mm-hmm.
they called them out for their bags not being up to spec, and then but neither of their bags were up to spec, and then they ended up just playing the game anyway. Do you know anything
Yeah.
about that?
I wish I knew a little bit more about it. I tried to go through and read because usually when you see a big post like this, there's always like a voice of reason in the comments, and somebody posts a big thread about, well, this is actually the way that this went down, and these are
Yeah.
the reasons X happened and the reasons Y happened. But I couldn't find anything like that. But the general consensus is that it was that neither of their bags passed. So I think Devin was throwing like double dragons or something like that. It was a dragon bag,
Okay.
and then obviously they were throwing gladiators on the other side. But but I've heard it both ways, that Devin called for a bag check, and then I've also heard that it was just a random bag check. But
Hmm.
either way, whoever it was, if Devin called it, his bags didn't pass either, supposedly, and then they just let him play the rest of the time. And to me, it's like, then why do we have that rule? Why are there rules in place for bag specs if you're just
Yeah.
gonna actually check the bags and say, oh well, yeah, these didn't actually pass, but good luck, guys. Just go ahead and throw them. To me, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, I think that we need to have just the same thing with the referees. Like we need to have a higher standard, especially when guys are competing in such high stakes situations. And I think you made a great point. We were talking earlier, and you were saying how you think it'd be a good idea to have the bag standards be according to bags that are already broken in, instead of like what the factory standards are saying as the bags are being mass
Yeah,
produced. But because we know like nobody throws
right.
fresh brand new bags, so the specs change a lot once you actually break them in.
No, you're 100% right. I mean, we've all gone to blind draws, and you've seen the game changers that don't fit any spec on planet Earth. They're like
Yeah.
a they're like a half inch thick, and they're like a foot and a half wide. It's like, this wouldn't pass anything, but yet you would see somebody throwing on ESPN with just decimated game changers that would have pulls and snags all over them. So they're not just like brand new bags that somebody broke in for the event. Like
Yeah.
these are their gamers. These are the ones they're throwing in blind draws and parking lots and stuff.
Yeah.
So I know that it's kind of gotten away from to where you would see bags that destroyed, but you still see some of these bags when they're showing that board angle, and you see the bags, and you can see that they're faded and they're just, these are the ones they've been throwing literally all season long.
Yeah.
But so they're not going to be the same. You're not specking a Viking that doesn't bend, you know, like a brand new Viking out of the bag that you can hold like this. That it just doesn't even
Yeah.
fold at all. It just stays like a pizza box. There's no way the specs on that bag, if that was an approved bag, there's no way a broken in set of those is going to fall within those specs. Now I know they have a variance of like 0.15 or something like that, or maybe a quarter of an inch height, a quarter of an inch width. But there's also a lot of different bags out there. A brand new game changer's already got a larger footprint than a brand new Viking or a
Definitely.
brand new Costello. A brand new Costello is a very tight bag. Um, it's like a very compact, but it's like, what are the specs trying to do? Like, you need to have if you're going to allow anything in there, then it needs to be like a half inch variance,
Yeah.
something or more, because it could be, it could almost be like an inch variant. Okay, well, we'd like it to be within between 5.5 and 6.5 inches. And then the height of it's got to be between an inch, an inch and three-quarters of an inch or an inch or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm just talking off the top of my head. I might just be pulling these numbers completely wildly, but I'm just saying that if you're going to allow bags that are obliterated to pass the specs when you know that they don't, then the specs need to be changed. And
For sure.
again, it's just based off the fact that there's not a broken in bag out there that has the same specs as the brand as it was when it came in the mail.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly. I mean, just like we were talking about with the referees for the scores, somebody to keep track of that. Obviously, the sport is not in a place where for every single division, every single person that walks into, the event center is going to be able to walk up to a table and have their bags inspected and stuff. And a part of you wouldn't want that either. Like a part of it, a part of this game is the honor system. And like we can score our own games at down at the lower levels, and like we can trust the majority of people to do the right thing. But I think once you get into those high level games like the bracket finals, or like I don't know, maybe just pro games, pro brackets in general, I think it'd be a really good idea for the teams to walk up to the boards. They've got their bags, the referee's there. Hey guys, my name's John or whatever. I'm going to be scoring your game. If you don't mind, I need to spec your bags and check everything. And so they, run them through their standards, and then
Yeah.
that's that. We know the bags are good. We know that someone's keeping track of the score, and now we can play a professional game of cornhole.
Right. It's just, I don't know. It seems like, I don't know. You're dealing with a lot of people. There's a lot of people playing cornhole at these events. And so it's hard to keep track of, everybody doing everything. But that same point, when you get to the semifinals or the finals of a bracket, and the finals going live on ESPN or whatever like that, you're not talking about 1,000 people that you're having to check. You're talking about what, 12 people, or so.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not
you're
bad.
talking about a very small amount of people at that point that you can totally check. You can have a person checking the specs of the bags, you can have a person running the score, and then all these guys got to do is step up and throw bags.
That's it. They're all they have to do is do their job. No other sport in the world are players having to worry about what type of basketball they're using, or I mean, like everything is standardized, even in golf or in baseball. Like these guys don't have to worry about this stuff. They just have to be good at their craft.
Absolutely. I mean, heck, how many times like you talk about Deflategate in the NFL,
Hmm.
because, Tom Brady's footballs that he had selected before the game. Now they're all the same football. It's just that they are allowed a variance of inflation, but there is a standard that it has to fall within.
Yeah.
So, but that being said, again, there are people who check it. They have a job and they go and they check this stuff. So it's like, I don't know. It's we're talking about the biggest platform for cornhole on the planet, and it's supposed to be the most professional organization out there. It's supposed to be the benchmark standard, right? This is the
Yep.
benchmark standard, and yet there are no standards, and there are no, safeguards against stuff like this just happening.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there was a lot that went on at ACL Worlds, and I think there are a lot of places that they can improve. But I mean, overall, like I wish I
Yeah.
could have gone this year. Just work kind of got in the way, and but I
Yeah.
definitely look forward to going in the future. And we're not talking down on the sport or the company as a whole. It's just especially because of Kaitlyn, like, we really wanted her to do well, and we know that she had the capability to do so. So when you see someone that has all the potential in the world to beat anybody in the world, and something doesn't go
Right.
their way, it's definitely frustrating. Just because something was outside of their control. But yeah, so you want to
Yeah.
jump
No,
into
you're absolutely right.
do you want to jump into our topic today, or do you have anything else as far as ACL Worlds goes?
I guess the last thing I would say about ACL Worlds is like there was another bit of just a, I don't know if it was a big of a controversy, as it was just a player behaving badly. Um, I saw that Tony Smith had posted a post on Facebook that just said, "I don't care how good / competitive you are, it's still incredibly pathetic to be that disrespectful, especially on the boards."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Oh wow, wonder who he's talking about." Well, you go down to the comments and you find out that he was talking about Matt Guy. Apparently, we've all seen it. Matt doesn't have the best attitude when he loses. And apparently
Yeah.
he showed out pretty big. Now, I wasn't able to find video of this, and I don't know if it's being strategically withheld, but there are 20 posts about what happened and 300, 400 comments, and not a single one of them has a video to it that I've been
Wow.
able to just briefly scan through. I haven't looked at every single comment, but I'll see a thread and it'll say, 200 comments, and I'll scroll through and I'll expand and all the stuff, and nobody's got video of this.
That's
So
interesting.
if you do, please forward it to me at the flop. Go to the PMs, or you can send it to me, Rob Defer. I want to see this video because I want to know what he did. But I have
Yeah.
seen Matt really act poorly at the boards when he's lost before. And there are white knights all over the place talking about, yeah, but when you're as competitive and you're as, and there's so much on the line, it's of course Matt's going to be upset. Of course it's going to mean a lot. I mean, you're Matt Guy. You're arguably the greatest cornhole player on the planet. Okay. And I'm sorry, you're a very competitive individual and you care very deeply about losing and you get in your feelings. You need to go ahead and control this because there
Mm-hmm.
are too many people looking to you as the example. There are too many people, young up and coming people, who are like, man, Matt's been playing forever. He's the top of his game. He's the best to ever do it. Yeah, but he's got a really crappy attitude when he loses. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'd rather look up to someone who can lose with grace and humility. I would rather look up to somebody, and I would rather my kids look up to someone. I want the youth looking up to someone who shows you how not only to win, but how to lose,
Yeah.
because you're going to lose in life. And I know that we live in a world right now where everybody wants a ribbon for showing up. Um, and I just don't subscribe to that. I'm sorry. Like, I feel like you give your best effort and you get praise for giving your best effort. You know, if one of my kids is in a competition and they don't win, but I know that they tried their absolute best, that's what I'm talking about on the way home. When you get in the
Yeah.
car, I've talked to you about it when you were little and y'all won. But if I know you were out there doing your best, man, that's all I can ask of you,
For
right?
sure.
you didn't get a trophy, but you played your heart out, and I respect it. That's what I want. That's what I want the youth of this sport to look for. I want the youth of this sport to say, you know, to look to somebody who's like, man, I gave it everything I had, and I had some frustrating moments, but you know what? Got to give it to him. He was better today.
Yeah, it's as
That's how
easy as
you
that.
lose with grace. That's how you lose with grace and humility. It's like he expects to win, and when he doesn't, he gets mad about it. And not just mad, but like big mad. Like he gets disrespectful mad. And and again, I'm sorry if anybody listening to this podcast is like the biggest guy fan in the world. Um, sorry about it. I mean, there's just a better way to do it, especially when you're the biggest in the sport. When you're the biggest in the sport, then your personal feelings about losing, you cuss and scream and yell when you get in the car. You can cuss and scream and yell and throw a fit and fling something against the wall when you get to the house.
For
But
sure.
you need to be a model for the youth and for up and coming players and for even your peers. You need to be that example. And that's the way I feel about it. And you will not change my mind.
Yeah, I mean, and you can sit there and say like, well, that's why you'll never be as good as him because he has to be that way because he's got to be the best in the world and blah blah. He literally just got beat by the nicest guy ever, Mark Richards, who absolutely spanked him and Jamie Graham. So like, I don't want to hear it. Like, it just happened. Like, we have
Yeah.
evidence. Like, you don't have to be a jerk to be good at something, and like Mark Richards just proved that this past week. So.
No, you're absolutely right. And just to piggyback again on Mark Richards, just I really admire his attitude because Mark Richards hasn't won everything that he's done. He's lost two. But you know what Mark Richards didn't do? He didn't throw a tantrum. He didn't throw a
No.
fit, you know? And now look
Yeah.
at him. He's sitting on top of the heap, and there ain't anybody that can touch him right now. Good Lord.
No, not right now. And I mean, if anybody should expect to win, it's Mark Richards. I mean, like, you talk about Matt Guy expecting to win. I mean, that guy, he is just unreal. Like, I can't see
He just
anybody.
decided to stop missing.
Yeah, he was just like, oh, so the bag just needs to go in the hole every time. I didn't realize. Okay, I'll just put it in the hole every single time.
Yeah. Check. Got it. I mean, I think he gave up. I think what I read, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he gave up 13 points total to Jamie Graham and Matt Guy collectively. Like what?
That is insane.
Like what?
That is
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous.
Oh,
Uh,
so anyways, all right. Moving on, let's get into our actual topic. We've talked about everything else in the world
heck yeah. So yeah, I mean
now.
that's all fun stuff to talk about though. But yeah, guys, so we just finished our 21-day challenge and I really appreciate those of you that participated and we went ahead and we took all of the people that said that they were in and they put themselves into the challenge and we took all those comments and direct messages, compiled them, and we put the total number of input god entries. We put the total
Yeah.
number of entries into a randomizer and we got D Garcia as the winner. So D Garcia, just we'll reach out to you on Facebook Messenger. I'm sure you'll get it before this video goes up, but congratulations, and we really hope that you made progress in this challenge, and we appreciate you participating in our little community that we have here. And so, yeah, best of luck to you in the future, and we'll get you some flop merch coming here soon.
All right, sounds good. And congrats again. And we're just very excited that we did have some participation in this challenge, and we would love to have updates. That just how did it go? Did you feel like you grew from the challenge? Do you feel like it was beneficial to your game? Like, have you leveled up in any way? Have your ammo percentage has gone up? Are you able to slide more bags in the hole now than you could at the beginning? So please
Mhm.
please keep them coming. We still want to hear about how it went for you. And for some of you guys who started later and maybe you're still in the middle of your 21-day challenge, keep us informed, keep us posted. We love to get messages from you guys, and we love to interact with our Flop Nation. So keep coming on, guys. Keep talking to us.
Heck yeah, absolutely. So today we kind of want to talk about some different practice methods and tools that have been beneficial for us. And I think that I just want to start with normal open board practice. Like I got into this game because it's so fun. And I do love the competition, and I do love, the blind draws and the regionals and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, if you don't enjoy something, like, you're not going to get better at it. And so I really want to start just putting the boards outside, getting a beer, and just enjoying my time, turning on music, and just throwing
Mhm.
bags. And I think that's just going to result in you playing more anyways. You're just going to play more if you enjoy it. And so I need to start enjoying myself a little bit more and stop taking it so seriously,
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you do things that you enjoy, you will find what you're doing to be quite enjoyable.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's a rules to live by. No, but speaking to what you're talking about, we mentioned in another video that, seriously, if you enjoy doing something, your brain wants to be better at it. And
Hmm.
so it's like, at, for instance, at your work, if you enjoy the work that you're doing, like you're trying to find ways to get better and you're automatically just vested and you're automatically dialed in versus like some sort of task where, like, for instance, in school, if you were assigned, how many times have you heard somebody say, I love to read? I absolutely love to read as long as I'm picking what I'm reading. But if someone
Yeah,
tells me I have to read something, it's like the sloggiest thing I've ever done in my whole life.
exactly.
So the same with cornhole. Like if you love to play cornhole, then you're gonna want to get better automatically, and you're going to try to find ways to get better. But like you said, it doesn't always have to be an event. It doesn't always have to be like, okay, I'm gonna do 20 push-ups and then I'm gonna hit the boards and get after it. You know what I mean? Like it can
Yep,
be just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go out today. I'm gonna set up the boards. I'm gonna get me a drink. I'm gonna play some music, put a fire in the fire pit, have the kids playing, wife sitting over, doing whatever, and I'm just going to throw some bags.
absolutely.
That sometimes can be the absolute best thing for you. And so we definitely recommend that, though you probably want to have like maybe a set training schedule if you're trying to actively get better for tournament or draw reasons. But every once in a while, slow it down, call over somebody, casually throw bags, just casually put your boards up and just throw some bags, because it's a great reset for your mind. It's a great opportunity for you to just chill and just do something that you enjoy.
Yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
So that's something I definitely want to do more often. The next practice tools I'd like to talk about would be Ghost and Deca. So we just finished a challenge where we did 2 Deca rounds a day for 21 days. And I think that the Deca is really, really awesome. But through this challenge, it has also been really frustrating because, man, like, you could be throwing amazing. You could throw amazing for 7 rounds, and then just out of nowhere, whatever circumstances, like a bag's bunch up or a bag is off to the right and you try to collect it or something, and then you find yourself, with a 2, and then you throw a 4, and then you throw a 5 because you're trying to make up for it somehow, and then, like, you have a terrible deck around and you're like, and it's all over, and there's no true way to battle back. Like, Deca requires you to be as perfect as you can be throughout the entire process. And I think that Ghost is a really awesome tool because you can battle back, and there's a minimum amount of points that your opponent scores every time. You could literally be down 20-0 and come back and win. And so the Deca for
Mhm.
me is really valuable if you're trying to just get completely tuned up and just as perfect as you can possibly be. But I think as far as like playing in long tournaments and getting used to um, not paying attention to the scoreboard and stuff like that, I think Ghost is superior in that way. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would say that, like you said, with the deck around, you're playing for perfection. You're playing to you're a hole for hole player playing deck around. You're also a hole for hole player playing Ghost. And
Yeah.
what I mean by that is that in both Deca and Ghost, it is not beneficial for you to throw a slower bag that you may throw in traditional play against somebody, because what good in the world does throwing a block in deck around do for you? Because now you've got to deal with it. And everybody
No
knows
good.
that sometimes if you're throwing bags in the hole, you can throw them straight up in the hole all day long as the hole's available. But as soon as you put that bag in front of the hole, all of a sudden you can't throw anything but to the right or anything but to the left. So if
Yep.
you throw a block in a deck or a block in Ghost, you're the one that has to deal with it. So I will say that the only detriment of Deca and Ghost really falls to a slow bag player. If you're a fast bag player, he just goes hole for hole, you're not worried about blocking, you're not worried about any of this dirty board play, then Decas and Ghost are both like just, there's not a downside to it. But for a slower bag player, I'm going to say that part because you're frozen again.
Okay.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Like you just moved. Are you back now?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
good.
For a slower bag player, it's really you're going to need to probably throw the fast side of your bag. Like I would still use your same bag if you want to, but throw the fast side so that you don't have to worry about sticking up or playing dirty. Because in decas, you like you said, you want to be perfect. You want to hit every bag in the hole because that's where your score comes from. So, but yes, you cannot battle back in a deck around.
Nope.
I mean, I guess technically you could improve your score if you started off throwing pretty crappy. You could do better and improve your score, but you're not going to get to a certain point. You can't start off by throwing, 4 5s in a row and expect to break 100, because now you're throwing 12s the rest of the game. Like, the score is what it is. You can only get so many points because you only have so many rounds. So,
Exactly.
but with Ghost, you can battle back, which is cool because you do get that you can get that sense of competitiveness where it doesn't matter if you throw 3 5s in a row against Ghost 7, because you could still win that game. You could be down 20-0 against Ghost and technically still win that game,
That's
because
right.
now all you have to do is just make sure you throw a 7 or better for the rest of the game, and it might just be 1 point, a wash and 1 point, a wash and 2 washes and 1 point and 1 point and 3 points. But you can come back from that. So I think that Ghost is definitely a good tool to do. But also, again, if you're a slow bag player, it doesn't matter. Ghost is going to get 7. Ghost is going to get 8. Whatever you're setting up your Ghost to get, they're going to get it. So throwing a block only hurts you.
Yep.
Throwing a dirty style of play only hurts you because they're going to get their points regardless.
Yeah, if you're a like a carpet thrower, you definitely you have to get a little bit more creative with your practice when you're out there by yourself. I mean, maybe set up some deliberate blocks on the other end and just practice your rolls, or just practice throwing blocks and just understand that, like, look, I'm not gonna have the highest PPR out here in my backyard, but that doesn't matter because I know that that bag that I just threw right there, they're not pushing, they're not like they're not pushing through that without taking my bag. And so, you just have to
Yeah.
think about it like a chess match and understand that
Mm-hmm.
you're perfecting your craft to beat other people at this game, not to be as perfect as you can by yourself. It's just different strategies.
Right. And one of the things that I like to do as a slow bag player, I like to alternate. I'll grab 2 sets of bags. I may grab a fast set over here and a slow set over here, or I may grab 2 slow sets and just make it messy.
Hmm.
But I will alternate. I'll throw one of this color, one of this color, like alternating. So the
That's a
first
great
bag
idea.
if I throw that first bag, let's just say white and black, I throw the white bag and I set the block. Then I've got to throw my black bag and try to deal with that block. Maybe if I'm throwing all slow bags, like I've got multiple sets of my slow bags out, maybe I try to do that roll right there. Or maybe this is when I lay behind that and I see what the next bag is going to be. And so I try to strategize against myself, even though I know I'm the same person and I'm going to try to do whatever it is I'm going to try to do. I'm practicing real life gameplay scenarios
That is
because
awesome.
anything that I do is something that someone else could potentially do as well.
Yep.
So, if I lay behind my block, then now white bag's got to deal with that. So, like, are we going to try to roll two bags? Are we going to try to maybe stay tight on the fast side and like lip that hole? I mean, I feel like that's a good slow bag strategy to play because we don't get a lot of us carpet bag throwers don't get a lot of these single person practice methods because again they're
No,
predominantly geared towards just hole for hole baggers. So for
man,
me, grab two sets, play against yourself with those two slow sets of bags, and create chaos on the boards and see how you can deal with it and train yourself to deal with it because then in gameplay scenario, it's going to be better for you.
that is a great way to practice. And I had completely forgotten about that, but that is a great point. Yeah, if you're a slow bag player, play against yourself and do what you would do, and genuinely try to beat yourself on both sides of the board. And
Right.
that's a perfect way to simulate gameplay scenarios. That's
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so some other like more unconventional things that I've seen people say they've gotten a lot of progress from is like skinny boards and like airmail boxes and stuff. I mean, I just like haven't, taken the time or the money to like purchase these items, but like have you ever played with skinny boards? Has it ever helped you like stay more up the middle or anything like
Nope.
that?
I have a trainer board. My
Uh-huh.
brother and I went in together and bought a set, and he kept one, and I kept one.
Yeah.
I play like absolute trash on a skinny board. If I set up a regular board on one end and the skinny board on the other end,
Uh-huh.
I will hit tens and twelves on the real board, and then on the skinny board, I will miss every bag that I throw. Now,
Nice.
I have traditionally done the skinny board that's like this. I have seen, gosh, I forget who it was. It might be Wreck-It Boards.
Okay.
You're welcome for the plug if it's not you. But anyway, um, but it's more this. It's actually just it's a wider all the way
Straight
up
all the
to
way
the
up.
top, and I think it may even bow. It may be like a little roundy in the middle, which I actually am not mad at because um a lot of times you don't throw straight up to the hole. A lot of times you hit the side and it cuts to the hole.
That's right.
And so a skinny board that's like a triangle, you have the hole and then there's like this much wood on each side of it. And
Yeah.
so there's absolutely no chance. If the majority of your bag's hanging off to the side, it's going to fall off. You're not going to collect it. So versus you have the hole, but then you have, a better chunk of board on the sides, there's opportunities to maybe collect those. So I think that skinny board could work a little better than the
Yeah.
traditional like triangle style. But me personally, I throw better on a regular board than I do on the trainer board 100 out of 100 times. I don't know what it is. I cannot do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think that they definitely have value, and I have at my blind draw, they actually use like they do like a little like precision challenge, and they have a skinny board, but it's the same width all the way up, like and on
Mm-hmm.
either side of the hole. And that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. That gives people the opportunity to like a bag is, a little bit, beyond the hole, or maybe they could drag it, or the bags in front of the hole, they could still collect it and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. As far as airmail boxes go, I don't have an airmail box. I'm sure it helps a lot of people. I know that through this challenge, my airmail got much better. And I think there's just no replacement for practicing your airmail. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, when I practice my airmails, obviously I only have normal boards. And so there is nothing more frustrating in the entire world than almost hitting an airmail, but it slid a little bit and went in. And so you don't count it. It's like I just want to throw all of my bags away when I do that. So I
Yeah.
would almost rather have an airmail box when I'm practicing airmails, because I at least know that if I hit it, I hit it. It's not some controversial
Yeah.
decision I have to make.
Hmm. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Again, same with airmails. Like if you try to shoot airmails on the trainer board, there's a little plate that you can put into place. But even
Okay.
then, like, and I guess for airmails, the trainer board is a little better because, like I said, if you put that little plate in there, you're not going to hit part of the board and slide it in. So that takes that little frustration away from you.
So
But
annoying.
they also make I think it's called like an airmail 5000 or something like that. It's like suction cups, and you can put it on your
Oh
real
yeah.
board. So you may look into something like that because you can take that suction cup, and it's like a little, bar with the two suction cups, and you just suction it to your board, and that blocks that slide. So you'd have to airmail
Sweet.
over it. So you may ought to look into that if you prefer to. I prefer to practice airmails on a regular board, and the reason that is because outside of an airmail challenge, guess what I'm going to be airmailing on? A regular board,
Oh,
not
that's
a
crazy.
an airmail box, and it's different. I think anyone who's ever thrown on an airmail box will tell you that it is 100% different than trying to airmail on a board. It
Yep.
just is.
It's just different to your eyeballs. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
it looks different. It's a little
yeah,
tiny box down there versus an
yeah,
entire, 8 square foot board. Like, it's just
yeah,
different
yeah.
on the eyes.
It is. So yeah, but yeah, you're right though. Practicing airmails is absolutely important,
Cool.
because it's one of the things that I have very seldom practiced, and I've hit a few sick ones in my day, but I don't hit as many as I'd like to. And so I think that instituting, like when I'm available to actually start practicing again and, actually throwing cornhole bags, which I used to love to do. It was so fun. Maybe one day I'll get to do it again, but I definitely
Yeah.
want to incorporate a strict at the end of every session, like, okay, I'm going to throw 50 airmails just at the end of the practice session, just 50 airmails, boom, do it,
It's good stuff. It
Yeah.
really has helped me a lot. I
Hmm.
don't think you can't just wing airmails. You either, like, your brain has that pathway and it knows
Hmm.
where the hole is, or it doesn't. And like, yeah, so that's irreplaceable for sure.
Yeah.
Another
Yeah.
thing I wanted to ask you about was, how often should we change things? So, like when we're practicing and maybe something isn't quite working, or we need
Yeah.
to refine something, like how long should we hold on to a certain throw or grip or whatever until
Yeah.
we decide to move on and try something else?
I would say the brief answer is after you have been doing something consistently for a period of time, if you notice that your results are changing, then it may be time to tweak something. I
Okay.
think early in your cornhole career, when you're just learning, it's so easy to want to change dramatically all the time. But I would find something that you find a little bit of success with and try to dial that in. And then if you notice that, you started to find a little bit of success, but then it started to wane and you started to just get squirrely and weird, maybe go ahead and make an adjustment. But I just recently, again, it has been so long since I've thrown, but like um, I made a tweak to my grip at the last event that I went to because I noticed that what I was traditionally doing was like a bucket hold kind of butterfly grip,
Mm-hmm.
and I noticed that I started to pull to the right or the left, and so I turned my butterfly grip to where I actually released it with my fingers forward, and I just
Okay.
released it like this, and started to have more success. So I've kind of stuck with that. Like even when I threw the other night, when I forced myself to get out there and throw because I was like, I have a cornhole podcast and I'm not throwing bags. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I made myself go out and do it, and I was doing that finger forward grip, and then just every once in a while I would do my traditional one, and I was like, nope, sure enough, the finger forward, I'm having more results. I'm actually
Okay.
a little more accurate with the hard push that way too. I'm also a little more accurate with a sneak around shot when I hold that finger forward grip, and I don't know if it's because it's like right on line with my fingers and the way I'm letting it go or what.
Yeah.
But big reminder to anyone out there listening who is struggling with their grip, the pros change their stuff all the time. They step, they don't step. They butterfly, they don't butterfly. You can go and look at your favorite players over time, and you will notice that there are changes that they make along the way. So
Yep.
don't be afraid to make a change if you feel like something isn't working.
Heck yeah. I think that's great advice, Dad. Thanks. And then finally, I just wanted to say that, I mean, there's no replacement for live competition. You can play against yourself in the backyard. You can do as many deck rounds as you want. You can, pat yourself on the back as much as you want. But when you go play a regional or you go to ACL Worlds or something, I mean, like, it's gonna
Yeah.
be different. It's just going to be different playing against real people that all want
Mm-hmm.
to win money. They all want to
Yep.
post on Facebook, about winning. And so you've got to, because it didn't happen, by the way, if you don't post about it.
That's right. It
Um,
didn't happen if you didn't post it.
okay, cool. I'm glad we're all on
Um,
the same page there.
yeah, but you're absolutely right. Live competition, man. You can be throwing 105s on the deck around every single time in your backyard. You ain't
Mm-hmm.
throwing a 105 in a deck. You ain't throwing 105 when you step up to the board next to somebody, especially if they're throwing blocks and putting things in your way and making things messy. You're not just sliding hole for hole.
Yep.
So just remember that a deck around is great and playing Ghost is great and playing against yourself with multiple sets of bags is great, but it is not like playing in real competition when there's real pressure on the line.
Mm-hmm.
And that pressure might just simply be bragging rights. But playing against somebody is always the best form and the best way to get better.
Definitely. So, like, if you guys have somebody that lives near you or that goes to the blind draw or whatever, like, just finding somebody that's around your skill level that you can battle with. Like, we always talk about, like, people are so lucky that, like, if their wife is like super into cornhole, it's like this magic fairy tale wonderland that
Yes.
we don't even understand. But
I
I
have no
see
idea
it
what that's like.
happens
Mm-hmm.
online. Yeah. But if you could find somebody that you could consistently battle with, like,
Yeah.
God, that's got to make you so much better. Like, there's no way that
Yes.
it doesn't.
No way that it doesn't. And you will play up a lot of times too. Like if you're playing against somebody whose skill level is comparable to you, you may find yourself taking a little more risks and hitting awesome shots that you may not have tried. So I have noticed that when I play against really good players, I tend to play a little better than I normally practice.
Yeah,
So there is that. But like I said again, um, that doesn't mean you're going to beat these players. That doesn't mean that you're going to play up and be better because chances are you will play in the draw a little below where you practice.
that's
Like
right.
you want to practice to a certain point so that you fall to the level of your preparation, which is one of the things you've told me. And I love and I carry that with me because it's just so smart and it just
Yep.
makes such sense. You fall to the level of your preparation. So you're going to do a baseline one way or another. But typically, when someone's muddying up the boards and you're a hole for hole player, you're not going to throw as well. So
Yeah,
competition's where it's at. Get out there and play against people.
absolutely. Well,
Mm-hmm.
we've been running for almost an hour now, which that's good. I mean,
Woo.
I'm glad we got to clock some time, and I'm glad that the recording worked this time. Thank goodness. But yeah, guys, we appreciate you guys listening so much, and we hope that through this challenge, you've gotten better. Feel free to do it, anytime. Feel free to start anytime. 21 days, 2 deck rounds a day, and then 100 air mails after those 2 deck rounds. And I didn't see a ton of progress on the deck around, but man, the airmail that really did help a lot. And so we're always trying to fine tune what we're doing, find out what works,
Right.
and not everything we suggest is going to work because we're just average, normal, everyday players.
That's
But
right.
we're trying to get better, and we're trying to just have fun and engage with you guys in the community. And so always, comment down below and let us know if you have any ideas for episodes in the future or things you want us to talk about. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
All right. We'll see you guys later.